This presentation is on ways that you can help your students take the mental leap. Well, what is that mental leap? What we're talking about is making the jump from passive learning to active learning, getting your students to be more engaged in what it is that you're trying to teach them and more engaged in their own education. So first, why should we even consider this? Why are we even leaping in the first place? Well, if you take a look at the two pictures there, the picture on the left shows students engaged, they're on task, and they're going to be not only learning more, but also more engaging with you in the classroom, making your overall day more enjoyable. Whereas the student on the right, I think we've all seen that face, they're bored, they don't really care, and that tends to spell recipes for problems for you, whether it be discipline, whether it just be frustration. So by doing this, you're not only going to help the kids, you're also going to help yourself. So as I mentioned, it's better for the kids too. Research has shown that if you take the time to change the mindset of your students, get them out of that passive learning, go into active learning, and create what's called a growth mindset in your kids, achievement improves across all demographics. Boys, girls, minorities, doesn't matter. Kids who are socioeconomically deprived versus kids who are advantaged, doesn't matter. If you get them into a growth mindset, the achievement will improve. So that begs the question, what is a growth mindset? Well, it might be easier to compare that to the more traditional fixed mindset. In a fixed mindset, students tend to think, I'm smart or I'm dumb. If I'm smart, I can succeed. If I'm dumb, I will fail. And it becomes out of their control what's going to happen. Where in a growth mindset, you change their way of thinking and they might not know how to do something now. They might be quote unquote dumb in your particular subject or with the topic that you're teaching them to start, but if they work hard, they can get better. So being smart or being dumb isn't a fixed position. It is a place, a starting point that they can improve upon, that they can grow from. And getting your kids to get into that mindset will help them make that mental leap and be more active in their own learning. So I already talked a little bit about what a growth mindset is. Here are some of the benefits. If you take a look at this chart, it talks about, hey, if I can get smarter, then you can start looking at saying, hey, well, then I might be able to achieve my learning goals. And if I work harder, then that will make me a stronger learner and I'll improve. And once they realize, students, that if they work hard, they can improve, it's going to make them want to work that much harder because they're going to see success. And if they see success in their efforts, then they're going to apply more effort. And that is going to result in higher achievement. But then the question, how do we get them to do that? How do we go from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset? How do we make that mental leap? And there's actually a couple of different ways that we can do that. First, and this is probably the most important one, is to provide the proper encouragement. You want to make sure that your students know that you have high expectations of them. And you want to make sure the students know that they can meet those expectations. They just have to put in the effort. If the students realize that they can reach those high expectations and they know that you genuinely want them to do well, they're going to be more apt to reach those expectations. They're going to be more apt to try. When the students feel that you are in their corner, they are more willing to work for you. So you have to provide the proper encouragement. That doesn't mean, hey, I think you're the bestest ever. That's not proper encouragement. Proper encouragement is honest feedback and letting the kids know, I think you can do this. You just have to put in a little bit of effort and this can happen for you. And I'm here to help you every step of the way. When students hear that and know that that's where their teacher's coming from, they're much more inclined to work harder and achieve more. Then the question, isn't that the old self-esteem thing, that stuff from the 90s or 80s that everybody figures kind of failed miserably, where they say, hey, you're the best. If we just tell the kids you're awesome, then they'll want to do better because they'll feel good about themselves. And that kind of failed, and the picture here kind of shows it. here's a t-shirt that says, I'm number one, so why should I try any harder? If the student already thinks I'm the best, what's the point in trying? That goes back to that fixed mindset. I'm already smart, so I don't have to try to get any better, or I'm already dumb, I don't have to try to get any better because I'm stuck where I am. This isn't that. This approach is not telling students you're just inherently wonderful. It's telling students you can be better than you are. You just have to work for it. You're not starting off wonderful. You're not starting off terrible. You are where you are, and we can grow from there. It's a completely different approach and gets drastically better results. Another way that you can improve students at being into a growth mindset or being more active in their learning is creating relationships with your students. This should have been taught in every undergrad program for becoming a teacher, yet still it gets missed by some teachers that you're not there to teach your subject, you're there to teach the kids. And if you develop a relationship with the kids, if you like the kids and the kids like you, everybody is happier and more willing to work and more willing to take chances in the classroom. Be dynamic. Don't be boring. If you just lecture to kids for half an hour or 40 minutes, they are going to get bored. We are no longer preparing students for those old industrial revolution jobs where they have to sit in a factory at a desk for all day. Get them out of their desks. Get them doing something. Get them working. Get them collaborating. Make your classrooms more dynamic. And give students choices. And that doesn't just mean choices in the work that they're going to do, but get them to realize that they are in control of themselves. Why did I pick a picture of the X-Men here? It's because unless you are a superhero, you don't have mind control powers. You have to give up the idea that you control your students, that you can make them do their work on time, that you can make them try. You can't. It's your job to encourage them to do so and get them to realize they are in charge of themselves. They choose whether or not to work hard. They choose whether or not to do their assignments. They choose whether or not to behave. When you get them to feel empowered with their own choices and their own ability to control themselves, they're more willing to make the right choices. Make your learning relevant. I don't know about you, I have a math degree, so I actually do understand some of these equations on this little picture here, but most people probably don't. And I know I have students who are in math classes that talk to me all the time about when am I ever going to need this? It's our job to make sure the students realize why what we are teaching them matters. Why am I giving them this assignment? If it's just mindless busy work, why are they doing it? I wouldn't want to do it if I were them. We have to make them see that the stuff that we are giving them matters, that it's relevant, that there's a purpose. And they might not see it now, but you should be able to show them and convey to them why what they're learning is relevant. Be inspirational. Whether you like it or not, teachers are role models. Try to act like one. If you want your students to act a certain way, you should act that way. Give them someone to emulate. And don't forget, doing all of those things might seem like it's a lot of effort, but it's not only in your students' best interest, which is kind of what we should be here for, it's also in your best interest. When you change your teaching to be more dynamic, to be more inspirational, and to challenge your students to get them to work harder, they are better for you. One of the best pieces of advice I ever got was a great discipline plan is actually a great lesson plan. If you keep the kids engaged, they're less inclined to do things you don't want them to do. So not only are the students going to win out, you are going to be helping yourself. If you're at all interested in where I got some of this information and you want some details on some of the statistics that are shown and how doing some of these practices and getting your students into a growth mindset will help them out, check out these references here. And yeah, thank you for taking the time.